So a couple days ago, we watched a movie called All Eyes and completely forgot to review it. So
Yeah,
we
we
probably
did.
should do that now. So there is this podcast host, and he is talking to one of his guests. His show deals in what do they refer to him as? Like they have a box that specifically
Oh,
says like
freaks, like box
freaks,
of freaks.
box of
It's
freaks.
a sane,
Yeah,
right?
U.S.
U.S.
Sane.
sane.
Yeah, is the name of the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and he essentially interviews, we'll say, eccentric people with interesting stories to tell. While he's interviewing this guy, things go horribly wrong, and he loses his podcast and his reputation. And then he goes through the box of freaks in this attempt at redemption. And he finds this letter from this guy who says that his wife was a big fan of his, but he hates him. But his wife is no longer with us, and he thinks that his story can resurrect his podcast from the dead, and that's what his wife would want. So he sends him $25,000 in a check, and is like, "Meet me here. I'll be at the post office every Wednesday at blah blah blah." So he goes to the guy's house and he tells him that there's a monster on the premises,
Yep.
and they're gonna catch it together, and that story is gonna save his podcast and his career. The film is it's definitely like a horror comedy, but I want to say that it's a very like balanced horror comedy in the sense that like the film isn't winky horror or comedy, right? It's more kind of like just situational comedy. Just because of how ridiculous the guy is that he goes to the house of,
Right.
right? Like, I don't know. It's not like over the top Evil Dead 2 kind of goofy or something. This is
No.
just almost like a dramedy with horror elements, right?
Like it doesn't really make fun of any like horror tropes or
No.
anything. It's not self-aware like that.
No. Overall, I liked the movie. I think that it just kind of, I don't know, peters out in the end to where you're expecting this climax, and I felt like the climax just kind of didn't come through, where I just kind of felt like, oh, okay, that was it. All right. And that's just kind of how I felt about it. But throughout, I did quite like the banter back and forth.
Yeah.
And the guy's house and what transpires there with some stuff that the guy has set up that goes horribly wrong.
Oh my gosh, horribly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that their interactions were pretty funny and heartfelt at times, and I agree with you though. I kind of was waiting for something like a bigger climax, and that didn't come through. But I also sort of think that it kind of falls in line with the theme of the movie, with how everything ends. So, I mean, I liked it. I had a good time watching it, and it was. I mean, you're there for them and the house. Like, I think that's kind of the main thing.
I think that the message of the film gets muddled in the end. I just didn't really know what the film was trying to say about our main protagonist. You know, we're following this guy and he's pretty douchey and doesn't really care about anybody, and this is supposed to kind of be his redemption. And in the end, I never felt like that kind of came through. Like, I didn't feel all that much different about him in the beginning as I did in the end. And I think they kind of go for it with certain elements. Something he finds in a truck later, where I'm just like, I don't know, that didn't like it didn't come through to me as like this is a changed man, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's I think what it was trying to do, and I think that's where I was, I felt the climax was lackluster because of that, because of the kind of the messaging, not really landing for me and making me feel different, or like I went through this emotional journey with this character and came out the other side seeing a changed man. So
I felt like he had, there was definitely character growth there.
some,
And it wasn't like a ton, but I see what you mean though. I can understand that.
yeah. And as far as the monster goes, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a cool concept.
See it for like
for
3
sure.
seconds.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what they had to work with, right? Like it's a pretty low budget film, and I think they did a really good job with what they had, for sure. I don't know what the budget is, but I'm only assuming. And yeah, overall, it's good.
It's good.
Yeah,
it was a fun watch.
It's one of those movies. It's not a like solid recommendation, and it's not,
It's not no recommendation.
yeah, it's not me trying to get you to avoid it or watch it. It's just kind of like, yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah.
We're definitely higher on it than we're not than not. Like I don't.
A little, yeah, a
You know
little.
what I mean? Like yeah.
Yeah, I'd be at like a 51%.
Right, like 1%.
I was like, I'm a little
Yeah.
over. It's fine. It's fine. It's watchable. I'll forget about it in a week. But that's not I mean, it is a bad thing, but I don't know. That's that. I don't. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird with movies like this. It's always hard to find something to say because they are just so kind of there to me that I'm kind of like, oh yeah, well, I've seen movies like it. This is kind of in the middle, and it's fairly forgettable, and that's it. I mean, that's the review. It should just be like 40 seconds long,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The synopsis took me longer.
It did.
It was a long freaking synopsis.
Yeah.
So, watch it if you want. I don't know if that sold you on it. Probably didn't. I'm not here to try to sell you out on it, and I'm not trying to make you avoid it either. It's just like if you see it and it's on, throw it on. See how you're liking it. Shut it off. That's it. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm just being genuine.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's fair.
yeah.
I feel the same way, so.
Yeah, I have no passion towards this film. Let's move on to something I do have passion
Bye.
for. Bye.